Hello! Today we're going to review the fundamental rules for operating a commercial driver's license in Minnesota. This is everything you need to pass that exam on the first try. Here are the key questions for the Minnesota CDL exam. What agency issues CDL licenses in Minnesota? Minnesota Department of Public Safety Driver and Vehicle Services (DVS). This is the state authority responsible for licensing and compliance. Let's continue. What is the minimum age for interstate CDL driving in Minnesota? 21 years old. Full federal compliance is required for interstate driving. Next question. What is the minimum age for intrastate CDL driving in Minnesota? 18 years old. You may drive within the state only at this age. Let's move on. What gross vehicle weight combination requires a Class A CDL in Minnesota? Combination vehicles over 26,000 pounds where the towed unit exceeds 10,000 pounds. This applies to the largest vehicle combinations. Next point. What vehicles require a Class B CDL in Minnesota? Single vehicles over 26,000 pounds or towing a unit not exceeding 10,000 pounds. These include straight trucks and buses. Continuing. What vehicles require a Class C CDL in Minnesota? Vehicles under 26,001 pounds carrying hazmat or designed for 16 or more passengers including the driver. Smaller vehicles still require CDL under these conditions. Let's keep going. How long is a Minnesota Commercial Learner's Permit CLP valid? 180 days, renewable once for an additional 180 days. You have limited time to complete testing. Next question. What supervision is required when driving with a Minnesota CLP? A CDL holder with the proper class and endorsements must sit in the front passenger seat. Supervision is required at all times. Let's continue. What vision standard is required for a Minnesota CDL? 20/40 in each eye with or without correction and at least 70 degrees peripheral vision. Clear vision is critical for safety. Next point. How often must a Minnesota CDL holder renew their medical certificate? Every 2 years unless a condition requires more frequent review. Medical certification must stay current. Next question. What blood pressure level qualifies for a full 2-year medical certificate? 140/90 or below. Higher readings may limit certification length. Let's move on. What happens to a Minnesota CDL if the medical certificate expires? The CDL driving privilege is downgraded until a valid certificate is provided. No valid medical card means no driving. Continuing. What condition disqualifies a driver from a medical certificate? Epilepsy not controlled by medication and insulin-dependent diabetes in most cases. These conditions present safety risks. Next question. What is the minimum tread depth on front steering axle tires for a CMV in Minnesota? 4/32 of an inch. Steering tires have the strictest requirement. Let's keep going. What is the minimum tread depth on all other CMV tires in Minnesota? 2/32 of an inch. All tires must maintain safe traction. Next point. What is the maximum single axle weight on Minnesota highways? 20,000 pounds. Axle limits protect infrastructure. Let's continue. What is the maximum tandem axle weight on Minnesota highways? 34,000 pounds. Tandem limits are enforced separately. Next question. What is the maximum gross vehicle weight on Minnesota interstates without a permit? 80,000 pounds. Anything above requires a permit. Let's move on. What is Minnesota specific about spring weight restrictions on highways? Minnesota enforces seasonal weight restrictions on certain roads during spring thaw to prevent road damage from heavy vehicles. These limits change with road conditions. Continuing. What are the 3 parts of total stopping distance? Perception distance, reaction distance, and braking distance. Each part affects total stopping ability. Next point. At 55 miles per hour, how far does a fully loaded truck travel before stopping under ideal conditions? About 390 feet. Real conditions increase this distance. Let's keep going. What following distance applies to a CMV under normal conditions? 1 second per 10 feet of vehicle length plus 1 second over 40 miles per hour. This creates a safe buffer. Next question. What following distance adjustment is needed in bad weather? Double the normal following distance. Reduced traction requires more space. Let's continue. What speed reduction is recommended on wet roads in a CMV? Reduce by 1/3. Wet roads reduce traction quickly. Next point. What speed reduction applies on packed snow? Reduce by 1/2. Snow greatly affects control. Let's move on. What technique prevents brake fade on long Minnesota downgrades? Select a low gear before starting the descent and apply brakes in firm controlled intervals. Proper technique prevents overheating. Continuing. What gear should be selected before descending a steep grade? The same gear needed to climb the same grade. This maintains control downhill. Next question. What is the normal air pressure operating range in a CMV brake system? 100 to 125 psi. Monitor gauges constantly. Let's continue. At what pressure does the low air warning activate? 60 psi. This is a critical warning point. Next point. What should a driver do when the low air warning activates? Exit the highway safely and stop the vehicle immediately. Do not continue driving. Let's keep going. What are spring brakes in a CMV? Parking and emergency brakes that apply automatically when air pressure drops below roughly 20 to 45 psi. They act as a fail-safe. Next question. What is the air loss rate limit with brakes released in Minnesota? No more than 3 psi per minute. Excess loss indicates a leak. Let's move on. What brake check is done during the pre-trip inspection? Build air to governor cutoff, test low air warning at 60 psi, verify parking brake holds, and inspect all brake components. A full system check is required. Continuing. What are the steps of the CDL pre-trip inspection? Overview: engine compartment, cab, interior lights, front of vehicle, walk around, and signal check. Follow the same order every time. Next point. What items are checked under the hood during a CMV pre-trip? Engine oil, power steering fluid, coolant, belts, hoses, wiring, and air compressor. These ensure safe operation. Let's continue. What is off-tracking and what vehicles are most affected? Rear wheels following a shorter arc than front wheels in a turn, most affecting large combination vehicles. Always account for rear wheel path. Next question. What is jackknifing and what causes it? The trailer folds against the tractor, typically from locked trailer wheels during hard braking. Prevention is critical. Let's move on. What is the tug test when coupling a tractor trailer? Engaging low gear and gently pulling against the locked kingpin to verify fifth wheel engagement. Always confirm connection. Continuing. What is the correct uncoupling order for a tractor trailer? Lower landing gear, apply trailer brakes, disconnect airlines and electrical chock wheels, then extract the tractor. Follow the sequence exactly. Next point. What is the purpose of the glad hands on a combination vehicle? Connecting service and emergency airlines between the tractor and trailer. They control braking systems. Let's keep going. What happens if the emergency airline disconnects while driving? The trailer brakes apply automatically. This is a built-in safety feature. Next question. What is the trailer hand valve used for? Testing trailer brakes only, not while driving, as it can cause jackknifing. Do not use it while moving. Let's continue. What is the cargo securement rule for flatbed loads in Minnesota? Cargo must be immobilized with enough tie-downs based on weight and length, with no tie-down exceeding its rated capacity. Improper securement is dangerous. Next point. What CDL offense results in a 1-year disqualification in Minnesota? DUI in a CMV, leaving the scene of a CMV accident using a CMV in a felony, or driving with a revoked CDL. Serious violations carry major penalties. Let's move on. What results in a lifetime CDL disqualification in Minnesota? Using a CMV to commit a felony involving controlled substances or a second major disqualifying offense. Some violations permanently end your CDL. Continuing. What is a serious traffic violation for CDL purposes in Minnesota? Excessive speeding, reckless driving, improper lane change, following too closely, and texting while driving a CMV. These violations add up quickly. Next question. How many serious violations in 3 years trigger a 60-day CDL disqualification? 2 within 3 years. Repeat violations lead to suspension. Let's continue. What is the Minnesota law on handheld cell phone use in a CMV? Prohibited at all times while driving a CMV and counts as a serious traffic violation. No distractions allowed. Next point. What CDL endorsements are available in Minnesota? H hazmat, N tank, P passenger, S school bus, T double triple trailers, and X combined hazmat and tank. Endorsements expand your driving privileges. Final question. What removes the air brake restriction from a Minnesota CDL? Passing the air brakes knowledge test and completing the skills test in an air brake equipped vehicle. This removes a major limitation. That's all for today.